The New World Order Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News report. Make sure you check out BFN Shop. That's at blackfilesnews.com/shop. You can find the link in the video description of any of our YouTube channels, or you might find the link in the Black Files News Instagram bio. I actually think the BFN World Broadcast number 17 is there right now, but even in the video description of that, you'll see the link there. It's always linkable. blackfilesnews.com, man. You get yourself some paraphernalia like this, different color shapes and sizes, all types of gear, whatever, man. Support the movement. We're going to keep on supporting y'all. Now, 127,000 people globally have died from SARS-CoV-2, also known as that Rona, you know what I mean, COVID-19. Coronavirus disease 2019. Now, even as this is happening, Trump has actually said that he's going to defund the World Health Organization, this public health agency of the United Nations, whatever. Big move. Going to do so, accusing them basically of favoring China and covering up the actual spread of the virus during late last year when it first emerged, essentially blaming the United States weak ass response by popular opinion or whatever to the virus. Now, at the same time, you have Richard Horton, the editor-in-chief of the Lancet medical journal, saying like this is a crime against humanity, and that everybody, all medical professionals, healthcare workers, and every citizen needs to rebel against this crazy gesture like that goes against like the global society's fight against this one virus. Like, it's crazy. Green War and graduation. The New World Order Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News report. So the United States actually set a record yesterday. Not a record that any of us would ever want to be on the top of, but nevertheless, the U.S. is on top of it. 2,228 deaths in a single day due to the COVID-19 outbreak, due to coronavirus, that Rona. You know what I'm saying? SARS-CoV-2. Now, within the U.S., the epicenter of the virus is in New York City, which has a death toll that's actually officially over 10,000 now. After they just added 4,000 due to there being like that many people who had died from things that they felt were leaning towards COVID-19 but hadn't fully confirmed yet. Now they officially added that onto the death toll. And right now it sits at 1 out of every 800 New York City residents is dying from COVID-19. Green War and graduation. The New World Order Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News report. So the spread of COVID-19 in New York is actually so rampant that the Metropolitan Transit Authority, the MTA, this is like their train and bus system within New York State, definitely in the city with the subway system and all of that. These places, they actually, the MTA, actually said that they are going to offer $500,000 in up to 3 years of health insurance to any family that loses one of its family members to COVID-19. And that works for the MTA. Since right now 59 people who actually run the subways or drive the subways and the buses or whatever, 59 of those people have actually died from COVID-19. 2,200 MTA workers have actually tested positive. So this is serious over there, man. Green War and graduation. Watch how you travel up there. The New World Order Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News report. So I told y'all in the United States, the epicenter of the COVID-19 is in New York. Definitely mainly in mostly in New York City. Well, that would bring New Jersey, northern New Jersey, whatever where I'm from, as like the second epicenter with and they actually have the second highest death toll with 365 people dying in just one day yesterday. So they at the same time in a nursing home situation, there are 324 out of 375 nursing homes throughout the entire state of New Jersey that actually have at least one patient that's tested positive for COVID-19, at least one person in the nursing home. So nationwide, there's actually 3,800 deaths at like long-term care facilities from the COVID-19 or whatever, taking up like 15% of all U.S. deaths. So serious business with this shit, you know what I mean? Green War and graduation. The New World Order Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News report. So Governor Gavin Newsom of California, he actually basically outlined a plan that they have with Washington State and with Oregon on how to reopen like certain parts of the economy. We're talking about actually allowing people to go back to restaurants and deal with the regular daily lives as if they were initially before the pandemic, but it would be with all of these different protocols and whatnot. It also provide protection for some of the vulnerable people within the population, the senior citizens, and have provisions set up so that hospitals don't get overwhelmed with COVID-19 cases. You're also talking about, like he even said, you might see scenarios where you're going to a restaurant where the person there is wearing a mask and or where half the seats are gone. People checking your temperature before you get into the building. So shit like that. Schools are reopening. They're gonna have developed new protocols for it. So that's what they're pushing for, man. That's some, y'all feeling that on the left wing? Green Wall and graduation. Of the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News report. So, federal budget watchdog actually reported yesterday that the federal budget, the federal budget deficit could actually rise by $3.8 trillion this year. That's a record. Even if there are no more stimulus packages added, which is likely to happen again or whatever, on top of the $2.2 trillion that have already been just poured into the economy. That shit adds to the deficit, to the budget deficit. Now, if you're talking about right now, you're talking about 18.7% of the actual budget deficit spending is at 18.7%, on pace to be at 18.7% this year of the U.S. gross domestic product. That's the most that it's been basically since the World War II. Now today is actually tax day, but tax day has actually been extended to July 15th. So that's when you'll have to turn in your taxes officially. Everybody, the IRS says that 80 million Americans actually should get a direct deposit for those $1,200 stimulus packages. Everybody else is getting mail, and then Trump actually requested that his name be stamped on each check that's mailed out. So, which senior IRS officials told the Washington Post is actually going to delay y'all getting y'all money by a few days. Green War and graduation. The New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News report. So, one of the Bretton Woods institutions, the International Monetary Fund. This is an organization that basically gives out, you could say gives out loans to countries that are in need, and the powerful countries contribute money to it, whatever, and they give out these loans, big money loans, whatever, with these conditions that are set up for a country to follow, and it kind of ends up looking like neoliberalism is used to take over these countries or whatever in a way, and that's what ends up happening. Nevertheless, that's what the IMF is a lot of what they're about. Nevertheless, they actually do follow worldwide money trends, and they're saying that this global coronavirus pandemic is actually going to cause the worst economic downturn since the 1930s Great Depression. The global economic output is expected to contract by 3%, and it was actually initially expected to grow by 3.3%. Green War and graduation. The New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News report. More on how the world is actually reacting to the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, we'll start with India. This is a population of 1.3 billion people that has actually been placed on national lockdown. I told y'all that or whatever by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. That lockdown has actually been extended to May. People are accusing him of actually using it to also crack down on political dissidents and people who are critical of his authoritarian type prime ministership. Nevertheless, you also have in other places like Japan, health officials over there are expecting at 400,000 people to die from COVID-19 over in Japan. Prime Minister Shinzo Abe did declare the state of emergency last week, but some retail shops still are open. They have 8,000 infections and 162 deaths. Over in Europe, you have places reopening in Italy and Spain, but because they're getting their lowest numbers. Over in Germany, they had 285 people die in a day. yesterday. So that's their highest daily death toll. And in Britain, like the death toll is considered to be the infection rate is they believe to be 10% higher. And for like and it kind of goes towards this narrative that like Europe is actually like underreporting their COVID-19 cases, but we'll get to the bottom of it at some point. The truth will come to light. Green Wall and graduation. The world go to Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So more how the COVID-19 is like spreading over in Ecuador. They actually had the healthcare workers picked up the remains of 1,900 people within the past 2 weeks who's actually due to the spread of this COVID-19. That's actually 5 times higher than the usual mortality rate. Over in Brazil, you actually have numbers that are being kicked out, but it's believed that these numbers are actually greatly. It's only like 8% of the deaths of COVID-19 that are actually even being recorded. That comes out to the actual number death toll expected to be like 12 times higher than what is being recorded. Then over in Guatemala, you actually have the Hugo Monroy, the health minister of Guatemala, actually saying that they're seeing a spike in COVID-19 cases, and it's coming from U.S. deportations, where more than half of the people that are being deported on these planes from the U.S. and sent to Guatemala as part of the safe third country rule are testing positive as soon as they get there for COVID-19. Green Wall and graduation. To the world, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So over in China, they actually have 2 separate clinical trials that are beginning to test for vaccines to deal with COVID-19. Now, both research teams apparently in China are fast tracking to human trials and skipping around like doing lab tests on animals. So over in the United States, though, they're actually doing trials as well, and set to start human trials for a vaccine candidate in Washington State. Then also in South Dakota, you actually have their governor, Kristi Noem, that actually has announced that they're beginning anti-malarial drug hydroxychloroquine human trial, basically trying to test the effectiveness of that, and how valid what Trump has been saying, because he's been promoting this thing as something that can help treat COVID-19, even though there's no clinical proof of doing so. And back in Brazil, I told y'all earlier last week that they had trials and people actually died. They actually had to stop trials for chloroquine, of which hydrochloroquine is a derivative. You know what I mean? Green Wall and graduation. The new world, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So Barack Obama has endorsed Joe Biden for president. I mean, did you think something else would happen? And that's where you have it. I do think it's interesting that he's just now endorsing him, though, as opposed to I don't know. It seemed like, was he like just waiting out to see if somebody else will win? Possibly Bernie Sanders, but now everybody's fucking supporting Biden. So I hope the rest of y'all left-wing pro-Democrat motherfuckers, I hope y'all like happy with y'all decision. Now, Godspeed. Green Wall and graduation. What other new world, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So while obviously the spread of coronavirus is happening in the United States, so you're seeing more in like the jails and pretty much every aspect of America. You're just seeing more people testing positive and even more people dying from COVID-19. You're also seeing a little police brutality kicking up. There was even a scenario in New York of a kid getting like detained for violating social distancing rules by being out there trying to sell candy or whatever. And there's a viral video out there of him getting roughed up and all of that. So all types of chaos and mayhem due to this COVID-19 shit. But to whoever's listening, whether it's you're hearing this 10 years later, 100 years from later, like shit is getting wild. Then also Governor Mike DeWine of Ohio actually delayed 3 upcoming executions because they've been struggling with like coming up with a lethal injection and drug or whatever. But this like the 8th time that he's actually canceled the execution since he's been in office in 2019. But it's not COVID-19 related, but I'm sure that doesn't help the situation either. Green Wall and graduation.